Hi everyone, this is Penny once again, and I have a very special guest. All my guests are special anyway. I have a very special guest, especially this day with Bryce, who I've met because of education and because of the Hero Summit that we had a couple of years back. So Bryce, can you please introduce yourself and tell us where you are right now?
All right. First of all, I'd like to thank you, Miss Penny. You gave me the chance to at least prep up, put on lipstick. I haven't done that for the last 10 days. So thank you. And, at least I look very, um,
Beautiful
about
as
to give.
ever.
Not really. Thank you. I appreciate that. But, it's like going to the office feels. I like that. Thank you. Well, I'm in Binalonan, Pangasinan. I am staying here with my girls, with my twins. And well, as you mentioned, we've met because of this Hero Summit in Singapore, which I founded in 2018. The Hero Summit is actually higher employability results and opportunities, and we're championing to move the universities and the members of the Hero Academy community to look into employability skills development. So that had been the mission. It's mission employability. And on the second year of Hero, you were with us again and you gave a wonderful talk about the success principles. And I
Mhm.
will never, never forget that wonderful time that you spent with us. And that's it. Right now, I'm a mom. Well, of course, an entrepreneur. I still think a lot about how to move forward, what happens after this COVID. I know that things will never be the same again. So, what are the things that are more important? What are the things that are less important? What would I offer also from where I'm coming from? What should I put aside for now? Things like that. But
Mhm.
everything's been well, thank you. I think the reflections are tremendous, and I'm excited to, uh, you know, maybe share some of these reflections also with the Hero members as we are
Oh,
starting with our newsletter and brain share sessions this April 11 and
oh.
onwards. Yeah, we're launching our first webinar with Fon Anan, the president of IT Canada World,
Mhm.
and the author of Digital Transformation in the First Person. So she will be
Wow.
joining us on the 11th for this webinar. And for the last 7 8 days, we have been working, doing a lot of calls like this as well, planning on how to really offer a wonderful webinar for the Hero members and also their associates.
So
We'll
I
send you an invite for sure. Yeah.
okay, I'll be there for sure.
Yes,
So
for
you
sure. That's gonna be April 11. Yeah,
April
it's the
11th.
time we have to announce. Yes, April 11. Every Saturday, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Henceforth, April 11, henceforth. Yes.
And 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 as you mentioned, Heroes is about higher education and
Employability.
employability, higher education and employability, making our people more employable. And
That's
this
right.
is a very, very noble cause because we have always said now what the schools produce, it's not exactly what the companies need. But
Yes.
things are changing now with this pandemic. Things may never be the same again, and people have been saying things will never be the same again. So,
Yeah.
what will be different in terms of we talk about higher employability? What what will be different? What do you think will be different moving forward?
Number one, project-based collaboration would definitely be the next kind of
Mm-hmm.
work mindset. Um, it's not gonna be like working face to face with somebody, but the the way the next workers will be projecting themselves would be like this. This is
Like
the
this,
future right now, right?
yes.
So, well, your communication skills, your appeal, um, your overall humanity has to go through the screen. you know, you, you have to be felt by the person miles away. It's just a different thing now. Um, there's more inward kind of thing to go outward. I don't know if I'm saying that perfectly, Miss Penny, but what I'm saying is there's more like going inward so
Mm-hmm.
that you can offer more to your clients just because it's different, right? It's different. You have to make all of this kinds of technology mastery. You have to make sure that you know what global business stands for.
Mm-hmm.
See, so the parameters for an employable graduate would definitely be higher than the usual. The interviews right now for right after COVID will be different. It's gonna be video resume,
Mm, yeah.
right?
Yes.
Video resume, and you make your impressions. Like you can excuse yourself if it's a face-to-face thing, but once it's a video resume or it's a live interview like this, you definitely have to be at your best the first time and make a really really resounding impression, or else you'll be forgettable,
Mm-hmm.
right? Yeah. So
Yes.
a lot of adjustments plus the mindset. Another thing that I'm seeing is on the attribute of being employable. It's on the resilience,
Mm-hmm.
grit, and the right patterns of decision making, which is not taught in school actually,
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, right? So students should be more skillful in decision making, since the world will be offering them a lot of things, and if they're not really given the right preparation to decide, then what future will they be giving the future?
Yes,
Right? So
exactly.
so
Mm-hmm.
that's where I'm coming from at least employability. Even the modules that I have prepared for the programs that I've been offering to the different schools prior to Hero, actually. This was like 4 years before we founded Hero. I've been doing a university blast kind of program with different schools
Mm-hmm.
from the regions that I also I navigate, and it's not the same. Well, the delivery definitely is different right now,
Mm-hmm.
and time, patience. Again, the patience is a virtue that we keep saying will definitely have a high grade valuation at this time,
Mm-hmm.
right? Things
Yes.
are slower.
Patience.
Patience, yes. So things are
Yes.
slower. At the same times, they're upbeat and on the high street, but things are slow
Mm-hmm.
because you just have to think through inwardly. It's just
Mm-hmm.
different right now.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
just different. So
I like.
that's what,
Mm-hmm. Go
yeah.
ahead.
Sure. That's basically what I'm trying to like see on the employability side right now. That the schools need to reinvent as well in terms of how they would focus on their approaches, dynamics, on their technology, and even technology would require a high decision making skills because technology is everywhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
So which one to use, which one to offer, which are allowable in terms of like learning this module and all of these things. Things will
Oh,
be different in a good way when decision making, when the proper values are also set.
mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah. I I
uh,
I really like the purpose of Heroes Higher
thank
Employability,
you.
and what we always say is how do we help the students gain more of that employability when it is
Mm,
not being taught in school or the teachers don't have it. And no, like now everyone's on lockdown. How will the
mm-hmm.
students learn if um, I'm a teacher, so we did
Yeah.
online training, but now we have to stop because not everyone has internet connection, and they're feeling, the feeling of just bonding with the family. So how do
Mm-hmm.
you how do we upgrade? I have to ask this. How do we upgrade the teacher's capability to make sure that our students are also able to upgrade themselves?
Um, Very good question, and at the same time, very difficult to answer. But from where I stand and from where I'm coming from, I think teachers need to be EMQ aware as well. They have to be
Mm-hmm.
employability skills, quotient aware teachers. Like,
Mm-hmm.
how do you translate an 18 unit subject in communication, for example, into into unemployable skills in communication. Like, for example, a graduate from one university, for example, for a course, would go to you for an interview, and when you look at the credentials, you would see that, all right, this student had finished 32 units of so on and so forth kind of communication. But when you start to ask that student, tell me something about yourself or anything of
Mm-hmm.
the star question, the student cannot even express herself, appropriately. And you ask yourself, so what are these units for? Because one unit has about 18 hours. So can you imagine if that was like an 18 unit kind of
Yes.
it's not actually translatable to skills. I think it starts from the teachers being aware that there has to be a direct connection of what they're teaching in class to what is really happening when that is applied outside.
Mm-hmm. So life
Like,
skills.
oh, yeah, life skills. And the self efficacy is just so important.
Mm-hmm.
The I can, the I will, that is what I've seen from my experience interviewing the students, and trying to find out what's missing
Mm-hmm.
after the interview and reflecting day in day out. I would see, Miss Penny, that their self efficacy is not in place.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because sometimes I think the classroom scenario. I'm also a teacher. I teach in classrooms, and uh, you don't process. You don't process when a student is not really performing well what the teacher would do normally from the limited exposure that I've seen. They would say, okay, you partner with this particular student so you will get the help you need. There's no processing.
Mm-hmm.
They would skip little activities as if they're just activities for compliance. They're not life activities that will
Mm-hmm.
need
Okay.
that will have a lot of impact. So well, as a mom, if I'm gonna connect that one, if my girls would fight, for example, they would be, they'd struggle over something, a balloon, for example, same color, same size, but one would say that the picture of the balloon has a bigger smile than the other one. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
Yes.
Things like that. I'm not gonna take that for granted as a mom. I'll go back there and sit and observe. I connect before I correct. And then after that, I try to help them, express their
Mm.
emotions, and then why am I doing that? And these are 5-year-old girls, because that has a long-term impact eventually, but in classes that's really forgotten, right?
Oh,
To
yes.
them, if one student was not able to accomplish one, they would say, all right, I'm gonna fail you, period, or I'm gonna give you an incomplete grade, period. So there's no transition, there's no processing that had happened. So if that has been the practice, and it will be the kind of approach that teachers would do, then the employability skills quotient development will never be in place. So I was able to design a program for 2 universities 4 or 5 years ago. I call it the EMQ Aware Teachers.
Mm-hmm.
It's a it's a 3-day kind of workshop that I've done. Again, it's like telling them that, hey, attendance matter, because that is showing up.
Mm-hmm.
And the father of Bill Gates, reading the book that he had written about Bill Gates, the only lesson he taught Bill Gates, how he made Bill Gates, or how he
Mm-hmm.
raised Bill Gates to be Bill Gates, is to show up. To him, there's nothing he taught his children but to show up.
Mm-hmm.
If you're invited for a PTA meeting, show up. If you're invited to, like, go for a luncheon, something, show up. If you're invited for a conversation with Penny Bongato, show up. You know what I mean? Just show up, and that's
Oh, I
it.
like that. I
And right, and then here is a student who will, like, say, all right, we take for granted if this student showed up or not, and all of these things. So these are forgotten values that to me bespeaks of the future of this particular student, whether this student will be a good contribution, a positive force in the office, would be resilient, would be loyal,
mm-hmm.
uh, would not be online, or would not be, how do you call that? They bash, uh, you know, somebody is at fault, for example, a
Mm-hmm.
senator is at fault.
Mm-hmm.
And look at
Yep.
all of these
The bashers.
reactions,
Yes. Yes.
the bashers, they would like, etc. They've been, etc., etc. Right? Somebody failed, fine, but can there be more reflection rather than just an outburst right there. You know what I mean?
It's all
Right?
negativity.
So,
Yes.
and all of, and um, there's a lot more, but what I'm saying is, if we adults, right, are not aware or will remain not aware on how we can develop this employability skills quotient,
Mm-hmm.
then we will be hiring as employers, adult employers, will be hiring totally unemployable students just because we ourselves were not
Mm-hmm.
really so aware, right?
Oh, I
So I
like
think
that.
it's that
Mm-hmm.
awareness. Yeah, yeah. And it's just too unfortunate that after the two universities we run this program, we stopped because there's no budget for it. That's how they say it. Of course, how I wish, Miss Penny, I have all the resources to give this for free. But I also hire speakers. I also
Mm-hmm.
travel. The logistics. So I couldn't even offer it for free. And I was just charging a minimal amount, less than 1,000 for 3 days. But still, these universities would say it's not a priority in whatever that they have done.
Mm-hmm.
Their program planning for the programs that they will be running for the faculty development, whatever. So they cannot find a budget basically for it. So it did not continue. But when you look at the programs that they've been doing, they'll be talking about other subject matters except employability,
Oh, that's always the
except.
case. Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's where I started talking about, hey, let's talk about hero, let's talk about higher employability, let's talk about putting that um that heartbeat in the system, in the education system, because from my research, out of the 10 families in the Philippines, only two can send their kids to school.
Mm-hmm.
The rest, right? So nangutang yung mga yan,
Oh,
right?
that's right. That's
They've
right.
sacrificed something. And then here you are, when you start to go to, if you're the president of a university, if you start to go to your boardroom and meet everyone there, you'll be talking about accreditation. You'll be talking about how you can improve the classrooms, and will you
Mm.
put AC or whatever? How will you landscape the ground? How will you da 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 da, and so on and so forth. We know what happens inside the boardroom, but nobody even asks, how will we employ the students? How will we help them to get more employable?
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
So,
In fact,
right.
if we measure the number of board passers, but we don't measure how many gets employed.
Exactly. I agree 100%. Yeah.
Hmm. So
I
even the
agree
board
100%.
passers don't even find a job.
Correct. Correct. I have a niece actually who graduated, who was a work scholar. She took care of my mother, all right, and she graduated from one of the colleges here in Pangasinan. And she was with Cebu Pacific. And
Mm-hmm.
before she had her OJT, she finished the program in tourism. Before she finished her OJT, her supervisor called me up and said, "We're hiring your niece. She has this, she has that, she has that." And I said, "Wow, that's wonderful." So she was hired actually prior to completing her OJT.
Mm-mm.
So I had to call the dean, her dean in the university, and I said, will you be giving an award to somebody who is graduating with a job right away?
Mm-hmm.
Is there a recognition for this? And I said, "Ma'am, wala po. Yun lang po talagang mga cum laude or mga whatever." Sabi ko, "May I know if your cum laude will be working right after graduation?" And I was dismissed,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
Mm.
my simple point is, what are we prioritizing, Miss Penny? Is it these awards, or is it these values that allow these individuals to be, or these graduates to be functional, with
Mm-hmm.
very high self-efficacy, and
Yes.
they would say, "I can do it." Are these not the values we should be celebrating during graduation?
Yes, exactly.
Right.
Yes.
That's what so that's why I'm very, very glad when I found you and you came and allowed us to enjoy gave us the time, enjoyed your talk during the 2018 here in Singapore, because you know it's a small spark, but given
Mm-hmm.
the heartbeat of everyone who participated, and as we continue to invite more, we have
Yes.
111 members right now, by the way, Miss
Wow.
Penny.
Wow.
Yes, and
That's a lot
that's
already, yeah.
yeah, and it's not about the number, it's about when we talk, we're not really doing so much, but at least we're understanding a lot. We're
Yes.
trying to. When I spoke with some of our school members right now, the presidents particularly, and I told them, can I see, or may I see your organizational chart? And they have allowed me to see how they've organized themselves. And I found out that there's academic council, there's all of these councils in the chart, but there's no employability council.
None.
So
None.
I
There's
said,
yeah.
can that be the first step for Hero? As a Hero member, can we start crafting an employability council manual, which will be which will be shared to everyone, and which will be, everybody will be contributing. So that's also one of the objectives of the brain share webinar that we have
Mm.
started to work on, actually.
Wow.
Small steps,
Mhm.
Miss Penny, but
Yeah.
we'll get
It's-
there. The
I'm
mission
sure.
has to be clear.
I'm
Right,
sure
right.
you will. You're so determined. You're one of the most determined person I've met in this field. You're working both
Thank you.
on the employer side, and you're working on the academe side. So we really trying to find that bridging that gap between
Yeah, that's right.
between academics and employability. Wow. And I think you've
Yeah.
done a lot of thinking over the past 11 days. I'm sure you have.
Well, my fear when I'm afraid, parang Bonifacio, pag
Mm.
natatakot, gumagaling. I think fear has found the better me.
Oh,
Because I
that's
was
that's a
afraid,
good
like, what's
thing.
gonna happen? Yeah, right, right. So what will happen? I mean, how will things turn out? How will things pan out after COVID? I have like 4, 5 programs that I run, because I also have Bryce Inspired Careers. That's the business side of it.
Mhm.
And I just saw, when I was doing my internal analysis, I saw that these are not priorities. So what will I sell, right? What will I
Yeah.
offer? So I will be out of business myself if I'm not gonna be very proactive.
Yeah.
So in the last few days, I was able to talk to a lot of developers, and we talked about Cloud B. B
Mm.
because business continuity, right?
Mhm.
So that's Cloud B, and it's an ERP, it's an LMS, and it's an SMS kind of thing. And we've been exploring how to keep that going. I
I
just
see
have
you've
to.
been
So
doing a lot of reflections, huh?
it has to be. I have 2 girls to raise, Miss Penny, and I'm a solo parent. So above and beyond all of these things, I look at my world, the bigger world that I'm trying to create, and the biggest world that I have right now. And these kids
Your your, your
deserve what they
twins.
deserve as well.
Yes.
Right.
I'm so happy that you're there. I'm so happy that you are also reinventing yourself, because this is the time that people say we have to remain relevant. If not,
Yeah.
we'll will will be insignificant after COVID. Yeah,
Yeah.
because now
That's right.
I was talking. If you saw the other video, my chairperson said I'm using Zoom for the first time, and
I saw that.
yeah, and I was saying I'm using Big Sky, the
Yeah, for
functionality
the
of
first.
for the first time, which was the
Yeah.
functionality of our LMS in school. So
Yeah,
all
I saw that video. Yeah, right.
both of us had many people have to adjust and work in a remote environment that they are not used to.
Yes.
We've been complaining. You've been to Manila. You know the traffic in Manila. We've been
Yeah.
complaining. Let's work. Allow us to remote work from home. Work from home. Work from home. Remote
Yes.
work. And now that we have it, people are also complaining. What
That's
do you
right.
want? What do you want? It's really the adjustment.
Yeah.
Mm.
Those who will actually survive, aside from the healthiest people right now, with the highest highest, how do you call that, the
Immune
immune
system.
system, right? Are those people who are less whiners, actually. For me, if you complain, you remain, right? I believe in that. You keep complaining, you remain. So
You remain the
after
same.
you've said your
Yes.
piece, yeah, you remain the same, because what you've done is just to complain. And I think I've seen the worst also from the business point of view when I went to medical transcription many
Mm-hmm.
years ago.
Yes.
And if I did not like, I started the medical transcription, if I may just share this, as a sunrise. I got
Yes.
there during its sunrise. And I was also there during its sunset, when
Mm-hmm.
the sunset came, right? And well, of course, I have a lot of misgivings down the end. But then I said, entrepreneurship is not for the faint-hearted. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I signed up without anybody asking me to to get into this. So few days after, I have to invent. Thank God I found Ateneo as a learning space. I was guided tremendously there. And, the rest is history, but the rest is foretelling of the next step, basically. And I think it's good. Yeah.
You know, when you mentioned the medical prescription, sunset and sunrise,
Yeah.
and learning from that experience, and just remembered what Steve Jobs, and I keep on remembering this now, because
Mm-hmm.
people say, like this, what's scheduled in November, now it didn't happen in November, and now we can do it because it's online, and so forth. What Steve Jobs says, you
Mm-hmm.
cannot connect the dots moving forward, looking forward. You
Exactly.
can only connect the dots looking backwards. So your medical
Yeah.
transcription sunsetting allowed you to do this, which is of
I
a
think
higher
so.
noble cause.
I think so. I think so. Well, because I was left with no choice at a certain point in my life, but to dust off and gather those dust to build a little something out of it. You know what I mean? So
Yes.
yeah, it's humbling, it's reflective, but it's what spices everything and what makes everything beautiful. I think.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, what advice can you give to, we talk about employability, to the students right now who are just at home
Okay.
and not doing much?
Number one, a reader. I'm always a believer of this, Miss Penny. A reader is a
Mm-hmm.
leader
Mm-hmm.
tomorrow, right? So if they have any chance to go to, um, the internet and read something that exactly doesn't interest them at first, then they have to, like, sometimes the immature reader always reads what he wants to read. This is what I learned about reading. You try to read things that actually do not interest you at first. Try it.
Mm-hmm.
And that allows you to mature as a reader and then
Yes.
grow, and from there. So try to, like, I never understood what digital transformation is about. I didn't even know about the fourth industrial revolution, and here I was doing the first hero event with the theme "the future is
Yeah.
here." You know what I mean?
Yes.
So like I have to challenge myself to understand it, because when I was talking with the Manipal group and I was talking with Nagi, our
Mm-hmm.
resource person, right, if you remember,
Yes.
and I have to, like, pretend at first that I understood everything he said. But the truth is I didn't. Maybe, like, out of 10, I got about 2%, or, 2 out of 10. So to cut the story short, I have to really learn it because I wasn't really into it. So I think that's the first thing. If you keep eating what you like, then you'll
Mm-hmm.
end up eating just what you like. So you're not expanding. And when you're
Mm-hmm.
not expanding, then the growth mindset is not there. Then there's no growth, as simple as that.
Mm-hmm.
And then number two, learn the life skills. Paghugas ng pinggan, that's the alpha and omega, from dirty to clean. That's decision making process, right? How
Yes.
you pile the plate. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So use your techniques, learn the best technique in the littlest way, the most simple things, because excellence is not happening on the big things. They're happening in the small, sustained,
Mm-hmm.
consistent ways, right? Those are
Yes.
attributes that you build over time. And keep your bed, that's very, very important. Right? I believe in that. It's, to me, a hireable person, an employable person, if he keeps or she keeps her bed.
What do you mean by
Is
keep your bed?
Fix your bed. As soon as you get up in the morning, make your bed good.
Ah,
Fix
okay.
it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's self motivation. That's very, very important. You don't take that for granted. That's the first thing I taught my kids. I said, all right, when they can put their pillows and gather them and put them in one side and, fix the blanket. Little things. I'm
Mm-hmm.
more into little things rather than doing big, reading this, enrolling in an online program, learning this. You build your tenacity, you build your character by doing repetitive things, small things, which benefit you at first, and then others will be benefited as well. And then if you're really considering to really be very employable, then look for ways to learn how to become proactive. Ako ang policy ko personally sa trabaho, sa mga katrabaho ko, pag when I started looking for the report, you're late,
Mm-hmm.
right? Right.
Yes,
So
yes.
it's good to be isipin mo na what is needed. But before you do what do I need to do? Teach yourself self leadership
Mm-hmm.
because that has currency, right? That has
Yes.
currency. Don't si Siri nga sasagutin niya na lahat ng gusto mo eh. So if you remain a Siri, mawawalan ka ng trabaho kasi
Oo
Siri is
nga.
Siri. You know what I mean?
Yes, and Alexa. Siri and
Mawawalan ka
Alexa.
din ng trabaho. Yes. Siri and Alexa. So, I mean,
Mm.
you have to like, what do you think? What do you think will my boss need in the next 2 days?
Yes.
We're talking about this. So if you just keep waiting for the instruction, baka the next instruction is leave the office and never come back.
Mhm.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So
Yes, yes,
please, it's
yes.
simple. You don't need you don't need the big courses. You didn't need the big programs to get you employed. You need to decide on the little things. Little
I
things.
like that.
When I started with the medical transcription, I remember one uh, kind of principle that helped me grow the medical transcription. One thing he said was, Bryce, you know what? It's so easy to give you instructions. So this guy felt I was a medical doctor because he was
Mhm.
dictating all the medical terminologies and all of the specs, the general and the the special specifications. And I would just say, okay, yes, I got it. All right, come again. No, I mean, I wouldn't even say come again. I'd say, all right, keep coming. I got it. I got it. I got it. I got it. And then he would email me and he would say, you know what? You're one of the easiest clients to deal with because you just get it. What he didn't know, Miss Penny, is I had a recorder. So
Mhm.
every time I have a recorder, and then I would have my physical therapist and all my QA people to just listen to Greg. This is what he said. Come on, etc., etc. So uh, because I wasn't ready, so I have to use like research where can I get a
Yes.
voice recorder that can just
Mhm.
be etc., etc. And I have an IT at that time, and he was able to like crack something for us. So things became easy. So for him, it was easy because he didn't have to really give us too many kind of repetition, unlike the others when they're doing something else. So what am I saying? Diskarte.
Yun.
Kung may
Oo.
kakulangan ka somewhere, yeah, yung may kakulangan ka somewhere, then dumiskarte sa kabila.
Mhm.
But be honest to also know that you have kakulangan somewhere. I think that's it. So,
Oh,
and please
nice.
never go to TikTok. I mean, live the TikTok culture. I mean, there's always an impact of everything. Look at this. I consult for a hotel in Vegan, Miss Penny.
Mhm.
I was hiring for a key position. All right. This lady that we've interviewed came from a reputable Hong Kong based company. She's good. During the interview, she was excellent. Conversed very well. She has very good business acumen. She's really good. Key position. Because she's now based in vegan, so she said, I like it, etc., etc. But then when we checked on her social account, it wasn't sanitized. She was complaining about whoever from her neighbor, and she was making a lot of pasaring, palipadhangin kind of thing, and it's posted there. And the owner of the business told me, Bryce, this is an alarm. I don't think I can hire somebody with that kind of attitude. So I have to
Mhm.
talk to her the following day after telling her that she can report, to tell her that, hey, I don't own the business. I was just a consultant to do tasked to do this. So I could not hire you. So no matter how I like you, the boss has the final say. So she lost an 80,000 peso, maybe kind of
Wow.
productivity per month, or maybe You know what I mean?
Yes.
Just for an unsanitized social account,
Did you tell
right?
her that? Did you tell her that? Did you give
I
her
did,
feedback?
I did, I did. I did. I told her that. But then again, I know, of course, she was saying that's not fair, etc., etc. I said,
Oh no.
well, what is not fair is not, both parties. What is not fair to you may be fair to the other party. But at the end of the day, you're not the employer. The employer has,
The
has standards
yes.
that we have to meet, right? Whether it's fair
Mm-hmm.
or unfair to you. But that's how employers are. They worked hard to be employers, so you cannot discount the fact that they're there, right? No
Yes,
matter
exactly.
how we see it.
Eh,
Well, that's it. Because
yeah.
things like this, and if we're not careful and we're all at this platform doing crazy things, using creative whatever, um, it might dispel some future promotions,
Yes. And employers
or it
use
it
social
it might.
media.
I'm not sure.
Mhm. Yeah,
Fun is fun,
employers use social media for
right?
background investigation. So
Well,
you should know that.
exactly.
And that's not
Right,
stalking.
right,
That's
right.
that's researching. That's researching. Hmm.
True, that's research. That's
Yeah.
research. That's research. And if you're an employer, you would always predict. We always want to predict. We use indicators to predict the future behavior and the future performance,
Yes.
right? So that's
Exactly.
all we get as well. So we have to work hard on that. So anyway,
I.
little decisions, little decisions. Like as simple as kagutom ngayon. Huwag ka namang maglagay ng mga ang dami-daming pagkain sa Facebook mo.
Oo.
Taggutom eh.
Mm-mm.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
let's be sensitive as well. Um, may gutom eh. I remember, I'm not sure if this was the right company, that they were like showing a commercial that they were biting in that burger, and that burger never goes out. Like
Mm-hmm.
it keeps something. Hindi na uubos. And a group complained na there's hunger all over the world, and here you are with that kind of insensitive kind of commercial. They took that commercial down because it
Oh.
was not socially sensitive at that given time. Let me research and let me tell you, I'm not too sure of the company. But again, these are things you don't teach in school, but these are things you learn by gaining wisdom and reflection every day. Whether you're 5 years old, you're 10 years old, you're 50 years old, it doesn't matter. You're
Yes.
given the gift of wisdom where you are. Embrace it, right?
I love it.
Embrace it.
Yes. I love the advice that now I turn on the lights. It's too bright. Okay.
All right.
So I love the advice. I wrote it in my post-it notes. Love the advice that you gave. One
Oh,
is
thank you.
read, because readers are leaders in the future. And we always say that leaders are readers as
Exactly.
well. Develop your life
Mm,
skills. And life skills, that's not,
yeah.
skills that's not begin in school. It begins at home. And even just fixing your bed
Exactly.
and washing your own plates, especially now at the household. If you're living alone, you don't have in a condo, you can't leave the plates just out
Mm,
there. You have to keep clean. Fix your bed. You did say self-motivation. So
yeah.
for some people that's hard. I'm bored, but you can do so many things with your time, right?
Yeah.
Tenacity, talked about tenacity. You talked about grit, as well as resilience.
Yes.
Everyone has to, especially nowadays, now with this thing, this COVID,
Yes.
we all have to be resilient. Being proactive and madiskarte. So
Yeah.
madiskarte dapat, no? Mhm.
Yes.
Oh, I thank you very much, Bryce. I enjoyed, as always, I enjoyed speaking to you. You know, this is the first time that we spoke this long, just the
I,
two of us.
yes, yes, yes.
We're always
And
in
this
meetings
should
with.
not be the last time.
Oh, this should not be the last time. Yes, we have always
Yes.
spoken in a big group, but one on one, this is the first
Yes.
time.
Yes.
So I thank you so
That's
much
why I
for.
didn't want to miss it for the world.
So thank you
Right.
very much. And all the way from
Thank you.
Pangasinan, from all the way from Pangasinan. So
Yes.
maraming salamat ha for this simple
Maraming
conversation.
maraming salamat din.
Ako ang maraming natutunan sa iyo. I learned a lot from you
Nako, salamat.
today.
Thank you so much. Thank you. My pleasure, my honor.
And
Thank you.
thank you. And once again, I know that our listeners, our watchers, the people who watch this video will learn a lot from you as well. And keep up the the noble cause on working to lead our graduates, our students, even those who don't graduate, to higher employability, because there will be lesser, maybe after COVID, lesser employment available. So even if you
Or
are not
more.
or more,
Or
and even if
more.
you're
Or
not
more.
employed in a corporate environment, you'll still be employable as an entrepreneur, as an individual.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be a company.
Yes. That's right.
So thank you very much once again, and I will see you when we have our heroes
Yes.
meeting and the webinar.
Yes. Yes. We'll be inviting you there, Miss Penny.
I will be there. Okay, thank you so
Yes. Yes.
much.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.